This means you're learning.
Yeah, man, that's a trailer right there for. I got a chance to sit up and watch this this new TV series that's premiering Sunday, June 16th at 9 p.m. on Showtime, and it's executive produced by Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, and it's set in Boston, and it's starring someone we consider a good friend of the show. I remember the first time he came on the show, we were so excited to see him. He looks amazing, man. This dude has not aged since I saw him in Footloose in 1984.
I don't know about that.
But he's gone on to do so much great work. DB, go ahead. I like doing this part.
Obviously, you mentioned the one that everybody mentions, Footloose, but I mean, he's done Tremors, which is probably one of my second favorite Kevin Bacon films. What else is Flatliners? Of course, Friday the 13th, his awesome death scene when he gets stabbed in the neck while laying in the bed. Perfect death for a horror movie. He's also done some serious roles. I mean, Mystic River. He's done Black Mass. I mean, he has an affinity for Boston. I don't know what it is because you're a Philly kid, but you do a lot of Boston films. Mystic River, Black Mass, and now you're doing this other Boston project right now with our good friend Aldous Hodge. It is called City on a Hill, which is produced by Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, which is great. You got to watch it. Kevin Bacon's here.
Kevin Bacon.
Thanks for having me back.
Yeah. Absolutely. What is that affinity for Boston?
You know, I don't know. It's like, as you said, I grew up in Philly, and the first thing I ever did in Boston was, well, technically in Cambridge, but we were shooting in Boston, living in Cambridge, and that's where I met my wife, Kira, and we fell in love. That was like 30 years ago. Mm-hmm. And from that point on, I just keep getting pulled back to Boston, you know, when I arrived to do City on a Hill, I came to the hotel and I was going to take my dog for a walk in the park, and they're parking my car, and I'm walking the dog in the park, and this guy's sitting in his car, and he goes, "Hey, how come you play all the Boston cops?"
Wow.
He said, "You're from Philly, right? I don't understand that." You know, I said, I don't know. He turned out he was kind of like a disgruntled actor, you know.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah. You get a lot of those, bro?
Well, every once in a while.
How do you respond to a disgruntled actor?
Yeah.
I don't know. You know, I don't powder your nose.
Your wife, you guys work together too, right?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, actually, she directed episode 7 of City on a Hill. Yeah, she's really into directing now. She's this is probably I think it's her 4th or 5th different show that she's directed. She's did a movie, and I've directed her a lot when she was on The Closer, and yeah, we love working together. It's funny too because, you know, people have this idea about marriage that, you know, we're just going to be, as soon as we walk on the set, we're just going to be like fighting.
Yeah.
You know, and so everybody, and you know, there's a lot of, "Hey, your wife's directing you, huh? Whoa, what's that like?" You know, it's that whole thing, you know. Yeah, I'm kind of like, well, you know, but really, we have a lot of respect for, I have a lot of respect for her as an actor and definitely as a director. So it's great, and the crew loves her, and the cast loves her too, because she's a real, you know, actress director.
She's great at what she does. Do y'all take it home though, like at the dinner table sometimes?
We talk about, a little bit, but you know, you have to know where to draw the line with that.
Yes, boundaries.
You know, you got to have the boundaries where we're pretty good at saying, you know, keeping it. We'll discuss it up to a point.
Okay. And then let it go.
Yeah. Talk about other things, you know.
Okay. This City on the Hill, man, it's hard to take your eyes off the screen with it, you know, even from the first opening scene, and really getting to know your character, Jackie Rohr, right?
Mm-hmm. Jackie Rohr, yeah.
Yeah, and man, watching you play this character, I only can imagine this dude is a cocaine snorting,
prostitute banging,
philanderer, lying,
corrupt ass cop,
FBI agent, and you're playing it like you're having the time of your life, bro.
Listen, you know, when it comes to these kinds of characters who everything, I mean, you know, as you know, pretty much right off the top, the stuff that comes out of his mouth is incredibly offensive.
Yeah,
and
he's a racist.
He's a racist. He makes homophobic comments, you know, and does everything else and hurts the people around him very, very deeply in the course of the show. You know, my feeling about any kind of character like that is if you have to stay true to who that guy is. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not in the business of trying to sugarcoat it and pretend that, well, he's kind of a, you know, he's a nice bad guy. You know what I mean?
Misunderstood.
Yeah, he's misunderstood. Right? Exactly. I want to play him with as much honesty as I possibly can, and also make him a human being. Because what's frightening about people like Jackie Rohr is that they do get into power, and that they are real human beings who think that the things that they're doing are okay, that they are just, you know, the ends are justifying the means in some sort of a way, and to pretend that people don't exist like that in our society, I think is more frightening and more damaging than really putting it out there for everybody to check it out.
Yeah, Kevin Bacon is here. We're talking about City on the Hill. DB and I were discussing it via text last night. And the first thing he said, man, this shit is really good. That's all. Let me turn it on.
We'll take good.
Okay.
Can we use that quote maybe in a quote ad? This shit is really good.
Let me know whatever quotes you need from me. As fun as it is to do roles where you know it's like a comedy or whatever, where you just get to have fun and be a kooky character, whatever. It's the serious drama stuff where you really get to show your acting chops. And when you do something like The Woodsman or Sleepers, where you're playing like a pedophile, rapist, or even in this role where you're saying racial slurs and all kinds of messed up stuff, who do you consult with as far as like, you know, because that's hard to absorb as a person and as an actor, you know what I mean? Because you might walk outside and somebody might take it serious and be like, bastard, saying nigga and all this stuff like that. Right. So who are the people that you talk? Is it Kira or your whole family or your agent? Who you consult with?
About the material, you mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I think I'm one of those people that, for better or for worse, I'm not a big consulter. You know, maybe I probably should be. You know, I mean, Kira, yeah, but I really kind of follow my own path. And you know, what I think about you have the parts that I played, and you pointed out that I've done everything. I've done the worst shit possible. You can't do anything worse than what I've done in those parts.
Yeah,
I separate that. I'm able to compartmentalize them as roles, and then in my life I try to live my life, you know, and you know, just whatever, try to do the right thing by the people that I care about, and you know, the world and whatever it is. So I hope that people can make that distinction, and if you can't, you're just an idiot. I mean, it's like if you can't figure that out, then you know, I don't know.
You're not going to lose any sleep.
Right.
Kevin Bacon will be sleeping well, right?
I'm wondering, and I've always loved that as an actor, you get to live like 100 lives, and I feel like that's why a lot of actors are such big like philanthropists, because you understand humanity from a different lens. Now, obviously, you probably wouldn't take anything from this character, but in general, of all the characters that you played, all the different mindsets you jumped into, different habits or different things they've eaten, is there anything from a character that you have said, you know what, I want to implement this into my own life?
Well, yeah, that's a really interesting question. I mean, I think you're right. One of the amazing parts of being an actor is that you get to walk in somebody else's shoes. I mean, that's really why I became an actor.
Yeah.
You know, when I first realized that was a possibility to try to understand the world and a point of view from somebody else's perspective, I think that's a really good kind of way to look at your existence, you know, where you can actually try your best to see things from someone else's point of view, especially in this day and age where we just seem to be so, you know, divided. And the other thing about it is I'd say that I think that a lot of people walk around with a lot of things that are not necessary. They don't necessarily get an outlet to express, you know, things of an extreme nature, you know, anger and fear and all kinds of dark stuff. And one of the interesting things about being an actor is I get a chance to kind of exorcise those demons in these parts that I play, you know. So it's strange to say, but I find it pretty therapeutic, actually.
Okay, I like that. You ever fall asleep and wake up and forget that you're Kevin Bacon? You ever wake up in one of your characters? Like, you know,
Right.
ain't never happened. You like, oh boy.
I hope I don't wake up as Jackie Rohr.
Yo, man.
Oh, that would not be good.
Yeah.
No, I don't. Although I will say that sometimes I fall asleep and the work that I do sends my dreams in a sort of strange and
I
dark
believe
place.
that.
Yeah. I had actually, this just happened to me the other day. I had this, Jill Hennessy does a beautiful job playing my wife in the show, and we have a extremely difficult sort of, on-screen relationship. And there's a big scene between the two of us at the end of the season, and we were shooting it the next day, and I spent the entire night dreaming. I went out to dinner with my wife, and we had a beautiful night, and it was really fun. And we're in the hotel in Boston, and we went to sleep, and all night I dreamt like I was fighting, but with my wife.
Oh.
And I woke up pissed off at her, and it was terrible. And it had nothing to do with her. It had all to do with this scene that I was about to shoot the next day with my pretend wife. So it can get a little complicated.
Wow.
You was mentally cheating on your wife.
Right.
Character, Kevin Bacon.
What the hell did I do?
All right, what I want to do, I'm going to open up the phone lines, man. You got a lot of callers who want to talk with you. We'll talk more about City on the Hill. Kevin Bacon is here, 888-742-3345. Kevin Bacon's hanging out with us. City on the Hill premiering Sunday, June 16, 9 p.m. It's a must-see. Executive produced by Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. It's set in Boston in the early 90s, and, it's dealing at a time where there's a lot of crimes. And, it's the portrayal of what goes on in Boston in the criminal justice system. It just seemed like, I wasn't in Boston, but it just seemed like it's so corrupt that you just don't know which way is up, which way is down. And I'm curious to you, what people who actually work in the criminal justice system, police officers, so on and so forth, do you guys get any backlash about this portrayal?
Well, the show is relatively fresh, so I can't imagine we won't. But it's I don't really know. The show kicks off in 1992, and it's right after a few years after an incident that happened that is well known to people in Boston, but not necessarily to people outside of Boston, called the Charles Stewart case. Mm-hmm. Charles Stewart was a guy that wanted to murder his wife, so he drove his wife into a black neighborhood and shot her and killed her, and then shot himself, and then said a black guy did it.
Yeah.
And then the police went nuts and started, busting heads and dragging people out.
Whooping up black guys.
Exactly.
Okay.
And Charles Stewart's brother, dimed on him and said, this is what happened. And the guy ended up jumping off the Tobin River Bridge and committing suicide. And it became a giant scandal because when you meet the Aldous Hodge character, he was part of a commission called the St. Clair Commission to investigate the conduct of the police in this case, and the fact that they went completely after black guys with no evidence, other than the guy just said that they did it.
Yeah.
And so that was really like kind of the low point, and that's sort of where we begin the show. And in theory, it's going to take a turn for the better.
In theory. Okay.
Keywords.
In theory.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but that's interesting because then you look at where we're at right now, and in theory is how far have we actually come?
Yeah, has yet to happen because black guys are still getting their ass whooped in Boston.
Exactly.
Okay. Accused of crimes with no evidence. That's all over this country. Damn it, we haven't budged since the early 90s.
Well,
No,
maybe not.
we
Yeah.
have.
No, we haven't.
I think things are cyclical sometimes, but
Yeah.
that we had to acknowledge the progress, or else we're just all gonna die from the absence of hope.
Hug her, Kev. Look at that face right there. It's like, please don't say that.
Wow. I didn't know we were getting this deep this early.
Dude, welcome.
Hey, was Matt and Ben on the set? Like, would they come and say, "Hey, you got to play this a little"?
Yeah, not too much. The idea was an idea of Ben's that he brought to a writer named Chuck McLean, who was a real dyed-in-the-wool Boston dude, young guy, but really, really has an incredible history, knowledge of history of Boston, of crime, of all kinds of history, politics. The size of his hard drive constantly amazes me. And he took this idea and just really, really, ran with it. And I think he's really responsible for the voice of my character in a way. He has a real feel for creating this guy and making sure that his voice is heard in the writing. There's very, very little that I even tweak or change or paraphrase because it's so beautifully written. Yeah. And that's really thanks to Chuck McLean.
Okay. Kevin Bacon's here. We're going to take a few calls, but before we do, man, we want to get a little more insight on who you are. Okay, so we got this game, and we call it
Keep It Real. Here on this show, we like when our guests are honest and upfront. So we came up with a few questions, and all we ask is that you keep it real. Right now, on Sway in the morning.
All right, here we go, man.
You ready?
You ready, DB?
Came up with a couple questions. We just ask that you answer honestly. All right.
Okay, I'll be honest.
When you worked as a waiter, your nickname was the Chip.
Yes, that's true.
What did that stand for?
That's the very first character that I ever played. Was a character named Chip Diller in Animal House, and so when the movie came out, I was still working as a waiter, and they started calling me Chip. Before that, though, I had another nickname, which was they took Kevin, turned it into Kavoon, and then I have a very few people in the world that actually call me Vooner. That was a name, Vooner, Vooner. I totally forgot about that.
That's fun.
But that all came from the Allstate Cafe on 72nd Street.
Both sound like great porn names, right?
The Vooner, the Chip.
All right. You spent your first movie check in a week.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And the money went to nothing good.
How much was it?
Oh, probably about maybe like $700, but after taxes, $5 or something like that.
Yeah, union scale.
Yeah, that was easy to spend in a week.
All right.
Well, maybe, but but this was also the 70s, so.
Oh yeah, never mind.
So it went a little farther. Anyway,
you have an obsession with zombies.
I do. I love zombies.
Really?
Yeah. I want to be in a zombie movie, man. No, I just don't get them. There's something about zombies that I dig. Like I like them better than
vampires.
I like them better than vampires. Yeah. I'm not quite sure why, but I just dig zombies. There's something about what cracks me up about zombies is that they are the version of that person when they got zombified. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it's like the zombie nun or
right. They stay in character.
Yeah, they stay in character in a way, except that they are the Walking Dead.
Okay. You would pay DJs to not play Footloose anytime you went to any social gathering.
Listen, when you say, I have done that. I have done that. Yes. Because here's the thing.
They call that payola. Kid.
I know. Here's the thing. If I go to a wedding, right? The wedding is about the bride and groom. This could be the only day in their life when they can be number one and number two on the call sheet. When they can be the stars of their show. And when if the party starts and the DJ plays Footloose, all of a sudden it's about me because people will form a circle around me and expect me to start, performing like a trained seal or something, and so I just want to avoid stealing that kind of thunder from the blessed couple.
That is Kevin Bacon,
That's
man.
great.
We want to thank you for keeping it real, Kev. Okay, we got a lot of people on the line right now. Kathy's on the line from Connecticut. Go ahead, Kathy. Say hello to Kevin Bacon.
Hey, Kathy.
Good morning. This is my first time calling.
Okay.
I just want to say you are a phenomenal actor. She's having a baby on my DVR, and I am 45 years old, and I make all my friends watch it.
Oh, thank you, Kathy. That is so sweet. I really appreciate that. I was very proud of that movie too because nobody went when it came out. It was one of my many bombs, but it was a movie that was important to me because I was probably about a year away from having a baby myself. Not personally, but my wife did, and it was almost like in a strange kind of way practice for that experience. But thank you for watching it.
Hey, Kathy, you're gonna love City on the Hill. That's Sunday, June 16th, 9 p.m. on Showtime. Make sure you watch it, okay?
Most definitely will.
All right, you're a citizen,
Okay,
Kathy.
thank
you.
First time
Thank
caller.
you, Kathy.
Charlie is in Greensboro, North Carolina. What up, Charlie?
Hey, Charles.
Hey, what's up, guys? Kevin, you've had the privilege of playing a whole bunch of different types of characters over your career. I'd just be interested to know, is there one type of character you find really challenging to play?
There's always different kinds of challenges. Sometimes the challenges are physical. I mean, I've done some things that are physically like very, very difficult. Sometimes it's something like it's a character that has a tremendous amount of anger, and so like really, really finding and keeping that there. I've looked at exploring understated characters who say very little, and the challenge there is to be able to tell the story just with your eyes and your face, and to take the words part out of it. That's why Jackie Rohr to me is so much fun, because the guy can't shut up. It's kind of like the opposite of that. This is a guy that just has complete diarrhea of the mouth, and never really, he's just such a bullshitter. And so the challenge with that character is to take these speeches and try to learn them within an inch of their life, and just fire them off. Like once the ball starts rolling, I have to kind of stay on top of it. I can't really stop to breathe.
Charlie, great question. You're a citizen, man.
Let's wait a moment.
And he never really walks a straight line at Jackie. He's always zigzagging.
That's Coke.
That's because he's
Hey.
right, exactly. And he's zigzagging because he's half in the bag all the time. Also,
There you go.
All the time, man. Jerry in Kentucky. Good morning. How you doing?
Hey, Jerry.
Good. How are you all?
Doing well. Say hello to Kevin Bacon.
Hey, Jerry.
Hello, Kevin. I am a huge fan, and I just need to know one thing, really. So last night, which is kind of weird, my wife, we were going through the guide and looking at TV, what to watch, and there was like Tremors 5 that was on. And I was like, man, those movies aren't the same because Kevin's not in them. And my wife's like, I've never seen one. I was like, you've never seen a Tremors movie? She's like, no. I was like, all right, sit down. So last night we watched Tremors, the first one, because all the time I say, Stampede Earl, and she just gives me this weird look. And I'm like, just don't worry about it. And it was just funny because last night she got to watch it. She's like, oh, so that's what you're always meaning to say about that. And I was like, yeah. And but I saw
Here comes the question, Jerry.
Yep. Set it up.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the question.
So is the trailer, so to speak, of a new Tremors true?
Well, I'll tell you what happened with that. First off, thank you for your appreciation of that movie, and I really liked the movie too, and I was trying to think of a way to remake it because it's the only character that I've ever played that I was really interested in visiting 25 years later. I thought it'd be cool to see what happened to this guy and who he had become. And I developed it as a television series with Blumhouse, great horror producer.
Jason Blum, yeah.
And we took it to Sci-Fi, and we did a really, really excellent pilot for a Tremors series. And they opted not to pick it up. So the trailer that leaked online was a trailer that somebody had cut for the series. So as far as I know, it's pretty much dead. But of course, first off, I still think the pilot was really excellent, funny and scary, and very, very well directed, and we had a great cast and stuff. And I would still be open to doing it maybe down the road. So maybe we have to wait until her 40 years,
Yeah, man, take it to Netflix.
Yeah, right. That solves every problem.
Sci-Fi, they do a three-headed shark and all sorts of, They didn't pick that up, huh?
No, they didn't. They didn't. I tell you, this business constantly amazes me with some of the choices that people make. But that one was a real head scratcher.
All right. Hey, Jerry, thanks for the question. You're a citizen, man.
Straight
Man, City on the Hill premieres Sunday, June 16th, 9 p.m. Kevin Bacon, man. It's always great to have you on the show, bro.
Thanks, guys.
Sway, there's something I always wanted to know. Kev, because so many people are vegans, vegetarians, does Kevin Bacon eat bacon?
It's funny you should say that. We were shooting in a restaurant last night late, and I'd had a really long day, and I was on my way to the set, and one of the PAs came to me and said, the owner of the restaurant would love you to take a picture with him holding bacon. And I was like, I got to draw the line right there. I'm okay with pictures, but that's just at this time of night. That's a request. I'm sorry, I just can't honor it. Not too often, but every once in a while.
Okay.
I'm everything in moderation.
There you go.
Yeah, man. It's a great cannibal joke in there, but I'm not going to go that route. Okay,
Dying.
Kevin, great to see you, man.
Yes.
Continued success. Come back and see us, man.
Appreciate it.